Well, here we are. Mac Engel. In just a moment, we're going to get into two rammings. One that just happened in Dallas-Fort Worth this evening or yesterday evening, basically in the past 24 hours. And another ramming that happened in San Antonio, all within the past 24 hours. Two rammings in Dallas-Fort Worth and San Antonio, one each. We have officers, 3 ICE officers were severely injured or seriously injured enough. Let me just say 3 officers were injured. I don't have the full extent of their injuries, but 3 ICE officers were injured in Dallas, Fort Worth area, Louisville, when they attempted to stop a roofer. Second of all, ramming happened, another illegal. These are both illegals, an illegal down in San Antonio. We'll get to those details in a moment. But Mac Engel, if you know who he is, I've seen him over the years, not in person, but reading his columns and seeing stuff that he says. He is so super leftist woke. He loves his illegals, and he's determined to put in, when talking about the FIFA Cup that's coming, the World Cup that's coming to Dallas-Fort Worth. By the way, my uncle is coming to town with his whole entourage of family, his kids, his grandkids. There's like 20 invasions of the Crocs coming in, and we're going to spend a lot of time for like 11 days they're going to be here. And so Mac Engel wants to make this, woke Mac Engel from the Star-Telegram wants to make this all about, he wrote a column today, a screed about how, are you going to have ICE agents harassing people? And, Rudy Giuliani's son's in charge of the FIFA World Cup, and he was here giving a press conference. And, are you going to bring illegals, ICE in to raid the FIFA Cup? Because this turd, that's all he thinks about. He's a woke leftist turd. Let me share his column, and then we're going to show him how wrong he is. I'm going to show him how wrong he is, replete with video from an attack on ICE officers in San Antonio that you'll see. The Dallas-Fort Worth one, no video yet. I don't know if there will be any video because we don't have nutbags going out and filming stuff, looking to hunt him down. This is from Mac Engel today in the Star-Telegram. Will ICE be at World Cup in Arlington? We asked the White House. What do you got, a mouse in your pocket, you clown? Nobody thinks ICE is going to be there unless it's to enforce a serious action. But here's woke Mac Engel. ICE agents, soccer, football, blah, blah, blah. ICE agents, whether the matches will turn into ugly sites of demonstrations, roundups, and deportation. Woke Mac Engel wants to insert his hatred for ICE and the federal government enforcing federal law. Again, we're going to smack this turd upside the head, not literally but figuratively, with truth in just a moment. Translation, woke Mac Engel says in the Star-Telegram today, yes, there will be ICE officials at World Cup matches in 2026, if for no other reason than to show off and look cool. This D-bag wants to attack our ICE officers. By the way, we've arrested, ICE Dallas-Fort Worth has arrested, ICE Dallas has arrested, I think, 12,000 people. Yes! Let's get 12,000 more. Woke Mac Engel says appearance regarding ICE is a virtue now, and a masked ICE official whose credentials are a high school diploma. Listen to this son of a bleep. He says a masked ICE official whose sole credentials are a high school diploma combined with the ability to breathe while carrying a semi-automatic weapon outside a soccer match featuring teens from countries that don't speak English makes for a good post on an Instagram page. So he's now calling our ICE officers, quote, high school diploma credential combined with the ability to breathe while carrying a semi-automatic weapon outside of a soccer match. Hey, Mac, are you mad because Renee Good was shot and killed because she tried to ram an officer, or her car hit an officer, sending him to the hospital with internal bleeding? Are you mad about that, Mac Engel? Well, Mac, are you saying that his credentials are a high school diploma? First of all, how dare you attack our ICE agents like that? For example, the officer that shot and killed Renee Good with a clean shoot, that officer has a college degree. That officer served this country in Iraq. That officer served in, I believe, BORTEC, the elite unit of Border Patrol. He was in Border Patrol. And then he switched over to ICE, which he's been in now for 13 years. Take that and shove it up your rump. You hated ICE. You hate immigration enforcement. You love the illegals, Mac Engel. That's your problem. And how insulting you are to our federal agents. Seriously, shame on you for insult. You can disagree with the actions. You can say that you want to have no borders and you love your illegals, Mac. But don't you dare attack the credibility of the ICE agents who do have degrees, who do have education. Shame on you. Seriously, I take that as a personal affront to our officers. All Americans, woke Mac Engel says, can agree there are far too many instances in the past 12 months that have echoes of 1938 Berlin or 1989 Tiananmen Square. So in Berlin, the issues in 1938 were illegals invading us. The illegals were invading. Are you saying that 8 to 20 million illegals invaded Berlin in 1938? And then he closes out with the rise of ICE has no signs of abating in 2026. To which I say, hear, hear. Hear, hear. Now we're going to get to Minnesota and insurrection possibilities and the latest video tonight from Minnesota. But I wanted to share with you what Woke Mac Engel is advocating for. Woke Mac Engel is saying what a lot of these radical anti-ICE, pro-illegal people are saying, that when ICE sees, in this case, they saw roofers in a car with 6 people in it and a bunch of roofing stuff. They pulled it over, and when they pulled it over, the illegal sped away. And they tried to stop him, and when I think they stopped him, he rammed the car, injuring 3 ICE agents. So this is who Woke Mac Engel wants to keep: illegals who are roofers, but then when they're pulled over or interdicted by ICE, they start ramming and injuring our agents with a deadly weapon, which is a vehicle with 3,000 pounds, maybe even 4,000 pounds. Woke Mac Engel wants illegals to stay. And if we would just stop pulling them over and cuffing and stuffing them, they would stop running and hitting our agents. He wants people, basically people like Mac want extortion. Extortion meaning if you don't go after the illegals, they won't ram you. The reason why you're getting rammed is because you're going after illegals. Well, you know what? I don't want anybody in this country if they're illegal, especially if when we go to cuff them and stuff them, do you or I ram our police officers when they try to pull us over? Do we ram sheriff's deputies when they try to pull us over? No. This is why every illegal should be interdicted and removed from this country. And this is what I voted for. I can sure as heck tell you that Woke Mac Engel voted for Kamala Harris, sure didn't vote for Donald J. Trump. So here's what happens when you pull over a random illegal. Accused of ramming ICE agents in vehicles. This is also in the Star Telegram. Woke Mac Engel might want to read his own paper. So this is who Mac wants to leave alone. You know, if we leave them alone, they won't ram into our agents. That's who we want to keep in our country. An illegal Honduran is accused of ramming ICE agents' vehicles and injuring officers during a traffic stop in North Texas. This just came out today. Apparently it happened a couple weeks ago, but it just came out today, on January 15th. This 28-year-old illegal from Honduras, they are now offering the FBI as a $15,000 reward because he rammed the agents when they tried to interdict him, and then he ran. This is what happens, and he's wanted on 3 counts of assault of federal agents in the Eastern District of Texas, because this happened in Louisville, so apparently on the obviously on the east side. Federal immigration agents tried to conduct a traffic stop on Stemmons Freeway in Louisville. The agents requested a check of the vehicle's registration, discovered that this illegal who owns the Silverado they pulled over was in the U.S. illegally. When he was pulled over, he put his pickup truck in reverse, ramming the SUV behind him. An officer had one leg outside of the vehicle and suffered injuries. There was enough room for the illegal to drive, the Honduran illegal to drive around the vehicle behind him. Agents began pursuing the illegal. Once the federal agent was able to block the illegal, but instead of stopping, he rammed the second ICE SUV, injuring 2 more officers. Again, Woke Mac Engel says if you would just leave them alone, this wouldn't happen. We want people to stay here who will violently attack with a deadly weapon our federal officers. We want them. At least Mac does. There was enough room for him to drive around. He hit the SUV and injured 2 more officers for a total of 3. The pursuit continued on East Valley Boulevard of Louisville, where Sanchez, the illegal, and his passengers fled on foot. They captured 3 of them. But the illegal Honduran, whose car it was that rammed into those officers with his truck, is on the run. So you have a roofer. I guess the roofer should name his new company. And by the way, they say he's still out in DFW. They think he's still here, and he's a Honduran illegal, and they say that he's still probably roofing and that he's on the loose. So how about this? I can name his new company. It's called Run You Over Roofing. Hello, I'm with the Run You Over Roofing. I'm going to run you over if you're going to pull me over. I'm going to run you over. I want to announce that I'm giving a very good special. If you tweet out, I hate the ICE agent, hashtag run over your roofer, I will give you discount. I can't talk well. My accent sucks. Federal officials said that during a news conference in Dallas that the illegal from Honduras rammed a minivan so violently the airbags were deployed, injuring those 2 agents. Since October, ICE has arrested, not 12,000, excuse me, ICE Dallas, just ICE Dallas alone, since October has arrested more than 10,000 illegals. Ha, 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 ha! I voted for that. At least 80% of them have a criminal conviction or they've been charged with a criminal offense. Woke Mac Engel wants them to stay. He loves them. Some have final orders of removal. We're trying to make the community safer. Yes, you are. You are making the community safer, ICE Dallas. Mac Engel is not. Now, let's also do this. I want to play for you what happened in San Antonio. Hat tip to my producer extraordinaire, who I call the Eye of Sauron, in San Antonio at the station I fill in for regularly and have for like 4 years, KTSA, News Talk 550, and FM 107 KTSA. She told me about this illegal in San Antonio that was, they tried to pull him over. And again, woke Mac Engel says, leave this guy alone. He's just a nice illegal. Until you try to stop him and arrest him because he's illegal. He rams ICE agents. This just happened there in San Antonio. Let's watch this.
Car. Whoa, 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 whoa. Troopers, Texas police. Come out of the car. Come out of the car. Come out of the car. Open the window. Go. He's in proceedings. He's good to go. Let me get my plate. Go. Lower the window.
Watch out behind you. Watch out. Holy shit. Watch out in front of you. Watch out in front.
Get out of the car! Cut it off! Cut it off! Now! Cut it off! Turn off the car! Cut the car! Cut off! Come out of the car! Now! Come out of the car! Come out! Now! 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 Hey! Model!
Okay, so that's what happens. That's a second case in Texas alone within 2 days in the news, at least. Within a day in the 24 hours in the news cycle, 2 different illegals pulled over by ICE and rammed and tried to kill our ICE agents. That's extortion. If we don't enforce the law, they wouldn't be doing this. Get the heck out of my country, cuff them, and when they try to ram, that's when you can get shot and killed. That guy's lucky he's alive. Let's continue on. That illegal in San Antonio is from Cuba, had been released in the United States by Joe Biden and on the CBP-1F. Fly right in and kill our agents. Hey, Joe and Kamala. Woohoo! Now, let's go to Minneapolis. The illegals. There was an illegal that was being chased by ICE. He got on top of and jumped on the ICE agent that was chasing him on foot because he was running instead of surrendering. He then was beating the crap out of the ICE agent. When he ran, I think he jumped out of his car and ran. I'll read the details in a second. When he ran, he and the ICE agent tussled. He was beating the hell out of him. And then 2 other illegals came out of the apartment apparently he's from, and they beat the hell out of the agent with a broomstick and snow shovels. They were beating him up. So he shot. Now, he only shot the illegal that was attacking him in the leg, but he should have shot to stop center mass. It may have been because it was in a tussle where it was kinetic where he couldn't get it right. But look at this illegal after he was shot. Look at him. Look at him. This is a Venezuelan illegal. Maybe even kill our ICE agents. There he is smiling when it was taken into custody. This is from DHS. Some of these illegals are, one's a criminal illegal from Venezuela, previously convicted for driving without a license, arrested for 2 counts of giving a false name to a peace officer, was the subject of a targeted enforcement released by Minnesota authorities before ICE could lodge a detainer because Minnesota is a sanctuary state. All these cities there in the Twin Cities are sanctuary cities for the most part. He came in illegally under Biden, and there he tried to kill one of our cops. Alfredo Orlando Alejandro Arjona, another illegal from Venezuela, also was one of the 3 attacking him. Came in from Biden. Biden let him in 2023. Failed to show up for his immigration hearing. Final order of deportation. Another one from a criminal illegal invader from Venezuela. Entered May 2023 under Joe Biden. These are the people attacking federal officers, beating the hell out of them. This is who Mac Engel wants to protect, for example. The Biden administration marked this illegal alien as a non-enforcement priority. Yeah, let him be around so that he can beat the hell out of our cops, perhaps kill him. I don't think so. Let's go to Minneapolis tonight. This is what the scene is tonight. Obviously, it's not good. And this is why Trump, I do think he's going to need to do the Insurrection Act. I was wondering today why he hasn't done it yet. I think because it's a very serious thing to invoke, but I want to remind you that George H.W. Bush invoked the Insurrection Act, if you recall, like I do, the Rodney King riots. When that happened, George H.W. Bush did an insurrection, invoked the Insurrection Act, which is where the Posse Comitatus law disallowing military from being on the streets doing law enforcement is set aside for emergency purposes, where the state government, the local government, is not enforcing the law by choice, in this case Minnesota and Minneapolis, or because they just simply can't. And he does need to invoke the Insurrection Act. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like it. The Wall Street Journal, milquetoast Republicans, I like a lot of their stuff, but when they're wrong, they're wrong. They are dead wrong about this. They're saying, no way, you shouldn't do this. It's going to make it look even worse. Dude, here's tonight alone, okay? Before we even get into the FBI vehicle that was broken into and stuff was ripped out of, they destroyed vehicles and they stole guns and ammunition and doxed the agents from the information in those vehicles. Here's tonight.
You can record across the street.
On the other side of the road.
Back up!
All right, now, I want to go to the scene, too, and this is exactly why the Insurrection Act is, I suppose it's okay it hasn't been pulled yet, but it's going to have to be pulled. And we're going to get to Mayor Jacob Frey saying insightful things and some horrifying things that his constituents are saying they want the Minneapolis police to do to ICE. This is an insurrection. This is an absolute war made by Minneapolis and made by Minnesota against, and St. Paul, but really the focus is on Minneapolis, against the federal government. This is exactly what Victor Davis Hanson wrote about. This is separately in the same week what the Chicago Contrarian wrote about in their articles about what Chicago's doing. It is insurrection. It is exactly when the same thing that happened when JFK and Dwight D. Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, had to do the Insurrection Act as well and send federal troops down. That is exactly what had to happen. Let's see. We got some comments. I can see your comments, which is so cool. We got Coin or KO in Texas. Yes, it's time for Trump to do the Insurrection Act. Was used 30 times by their presidents. Amen, Coin. I do think it's time. It could be a mini Insurrection Act. You know what I'm saying? Where they do the Insurrection Act, obviously, but they send, a couple hundred officers just to stop this, or 1,000 officers more. We also have Q-Town Dude saying if Trump doesn't enact the Insurrection Act, Minnesota is going to be BLM 2.0. That's exactly right. You are exactly right. Let's go to the next stuff we got here. I love you guys commenting. Connecting with you is very important to me. Follow me on Rumble. When you watch my live stream, comment. You can comment, and I will see your comments, and I will comment. You mean a hell of a lot to me. This is the new show right here, baby. Let's continue on. I'm going to stop again. You mean a hell of a lot to me. I'm sitting right here in Dallas-Fort Worth at my awesome home studio God gave me, and I'm going to be more and more passionate, talking about more and more stuff, hyper-local and national, everything. Here we go. This is, as you know, the scene that happened in Minneapolis last night, where you would want to invoke the Insurrection Act because scenes like this are happening, where they chase away federal agents. They cannot even be near their cars. They rip out the cars. They steal a safe and guns.
Almost there.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Here's some bullets.
Hey, that's what he said.
I don't know.
Tourniquet there.
Even in Chicago, my birthplace, even in Chicago, they freaking listen to me. Even in Chicago, Illinois, they allow and they dispatch the Illinois State Police. This might shock you. At Broadview, the Broadview facility, not to help ICE, but to clear the street and to maintain a buffer and a border, and they were arresting 20, 30 people. I'm going to tell you, and I'll tell you again, the Illinois State Police under Governor Pritzker were dispatched to assist the peace, to assist ICE in keeping a perimeter. Even leftist Illinois, you understand me? Even freaking commie Chicago dispatched Illinois State Police. Minnesota will not dispatch state troopers under Governor Walz. Minneapolis will not dispatch Minneapolis police officers. They will not save the people from themselves by keeping the peace, by keeping a border away from ICE while they do their duties. It is all an insurrection. It is a refusal to protect the people of their own community, let alone ICE officers while they're doing their lawful federal duties. Let's go to the guy who stole the rifle, because this is breaking news tonight. Nick Sorter, journalist who got that video you just saw, is on Laura Ingham Fox News tonight, and here's what he says with this exclusive information. This is the guy that stole the rifle. Listen to this. He's a felon. These are violent felons that are attacking our ICE officers. These are violent, hardcore felons. This is why the Insurrection Act really should be pulled. You're right, guys.
I know you just talked to a high-placed source at DOJ. Tell us more.
Yeah, so he wasn't arrested last night. He could have been, but the Minneapolis police didn't bother chasing the vehicle that had just stolen a high-powered rifle out of an FBI car. So that stole it out of one of these weapons lockers that was in the back. But what I can confirm now is that Raul Gutierrez, age 33, that you see in the video that I posted last night, stealing a firearm from an FBI vehicle, has been arrested by the ATF and the DOJ. They executed an arrest warrant today, and he's a known member of the Latin Kings gang. I just got all this information just before I came on air.
The Latin Kings gang is running wild in the streets, beating, attacking our federal officers, and destroying their vehicles and stealing their freaking rifles on the streets of Minneapolis with impunity. Let's continue on with this video.
He's got a lengthy, violent rap sheet. Of course, he should have been in prison already, but in Tim Waltz, Minnesota, like they don't arrest anybody here. So it's not surprising that he was able to go out and beat this gun safe to a pulp and pull this automatic firearm out of it and run away with it. And, you know, hell, if it wasn't for, honestly, a lot of us independent journalists on the ground that were able to get a video of this, nobody would have seen it happen.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now let's go back to that thug. Let me pull up that thug again to see his nice thug picture. This SOB, this Latin Kings member with tons of felonies on his rap sheet. He's the one that's stealing. And I don't want the. Hold on one second.
I know you just.
Destroy their cars and steal guns. It is lawlessness in Minneapolis, on the streets of Minneapolis. Let's go to, okay, listen, hold on. I did a talk show for 2 years in Minneapolis, St. Paul. I love being there. It's colder than I'll get out. Like 5 months were horribly cold. I got to move to Atlanta from there and then come here to Dallas-Fort Worth, where I've been out for 16 years. Thank you, God. But there are great people. I am dear friends with a couple of St. Paul police officers. It's Minneapolis and St. Paul. They touch. They're unlike Dallas-Fort Worth. There's no mileage between them. They touch. That's where the radio station I work for is, right in the middle of those two downtowns. Pretty cool. But this is a lady in the suburbs, and my friend that's a St. Paul police officer, my age, 25, 30 years service. I love him very much. He's a dear friend of his family. He's come down with his family here and visited me several times over the years. This woman represents him, me, you in Minnesota. She's from a suburb, and listen to this woman. It's profanity laden, but it's freaking awesome. Listen to this awesome woman. Here you go.
And so ICE was just in my suburb at our local grocery store while I was there, and they were grabbing somebody. Nobody in the grocery store stopped them from doing their job. Everybody was clapping and excited about ICE being there. People were hooting and hollering, chanting for ICE. You gotta love small towns in Minnesota, honestly. We are so fucking stoked. And honestly, you know what I did after the ICE agents got done with their job and what they were doing? I said, can I buy you all, like something to drink, something to eat? And And I did. And I sure fucking did, because you know what? I'm excited that ICE is in Minnesota. Really excited. I'm not going to tell you the suburb I'm in, but it's close to Stillwater. We'll just leave it at that. Best thing I've seen today is watching an ICE agent arrest somebody and send them back to where they came from. Love it. Super happy about it. Love the suburb I live in, because there was no protesting. Nobody stopped them. Nobody did.
There you go.
Nobody gives a shit. We want them gone.
Nobody gives an. By the way, Sharon, I want to welcome Sharon. She's checking in from Tennessee, watching for my days filling in Nashville. So hi, Sharon. Good to see you. Keep jumping in the comments. Watch me on Rumble, guys. Watch me on Rumble. That's where I can see your comments, and I'll talk. Join up, sign up, follow me on Rumble. Okay, let's go to Minneapolis, and this is exactly right. This is Greg Bovino, Border Patrol Chief, checking in via phone today. And look at the scene from earlier today in Minnesota. Again, Insurrection Act. Look at this.
John, exactly. Let's take a look at some of the other areas we've operated. Take a look at Illinois and the Broadview Federal Facility. We saw some of the same tactics used by some of these rioters and agitators and protesters. But even in Illinois, under Governor Pritzker, and he's definitely no friend, they still allowed state and locals to come in and work with the federal government to make that Broadview facility safer. That's all we ask here at the Whipple facility here in Minnesota is we want safe ingress, egress, so we can continue to conduct these Title VIII immigration operations. And anytime we can work with the state and locals, as we did in Louisiana, somewhat in Illinois, and North Carolina and other places, that's always a success for all of us.
So you didn't see mass chaos in Charlotte, where I fill in regularly as well. You didn't see mass chaos in Louisiana, where they did operations. You didn't see mass chaos in Memphis by Sharon, one of our listeners watching in Nashville. You didn't see any chaos in Memphis. You didn't see any chaos, I think I mentioned Louisiana, or you haven't seen any here. So it is a choice, and that's why the Insurrection Act may need to be or should be invoked. I'm still kind of saying yes, it should. I'm just talking out loud here. But that's why the Insurrection Act probably should be invoked now or ASAP, because it's a choice. This is an absolute choice. Let's go to these idiots. Actually, here. I've got these idiots from Minnesota. Let's do Walls. Listen, Walls is saying, and look at you have to see the face of the Minneapolis police chief, this turd, who was humping Somali legs the other day on television the other week when this started really breaking out with all the fraud. Or as they pronounce it in Minnesota, fraud. This is fraud. This is a lot of fraud. So let's see here. What else we got? Let's do this. Here's Jacob Frey that literally is saying, and the Minneapolis police chief's face freaks out. Watch it closely, because he says that his constituents want to sick the Minneapolis police on ice. Listen to this, and listen to what he says. Listen closely.
That are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors. Residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street, to stand by their neighbors. We cannot be at a place right now in America where we have two governmental entities that are literally fighting one another.
They are not. They are not fighting one another. You, Mayor Fry, you are fighting against them. And Tim Walz is fighting against them. Wait till you see the rioting that went on, because Minneapolis has, cleared the schools out. Hey, kids, go riot. We'll get to that in a second. Let's go back to Mayor Fry and his sickening stuff here.
Two governmental entities that are literally fighting one another. Why are we put in this position? We're put in this position because we have approximately 600 police officers in Minneapolis, far fewer that are able to work at any given time. And there are approximately 3,000 ICE agents in the area. 3,000.
So this bleep is literally saying, it seems like he's saying, I would go to war, but we only have 600 cops versus their 3,000. Let me tell you something. The city of Minneapolis should probably have 3,000 cops. The reason they have 600 is because of St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, or St. George Fentanyl, who died from a drug overdose while in the custody of Minneapolis police. And yes, the left in Minneapolis wants a frickin' St. George Floyd, or St. George Fentanyl riot. Blessed be his name. They want a riot. That's exactly what they want. Let's go to Tim Walz. This freaking guy, it's unbelievable what he's saying. Let's go first to this one. This is what he said last night. This is incredible. This. He is pandering to hardcore leftists. He's desperate because he knows he's dead man walking. I mentioned yesterday that Minnesota House members filed articles of impeachment, 4 articles of impeachment against him yesterday for seeing the fraud, knowing about the fraud, but doing nothing to do it. In fact, going after people and doing retribution against those who were exposing it, whistleblowers. Here he is last night saying horrible things.
Take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
I'm going to play that again because you have to see it again. You see these people that are doxing ICE in that. You see people that are destroying the vehicles, that are stealing rifles, and this guy says document it with your phones to document atrocities. And you're watching the atrocities happen. The destruction of federal property, the attacks on federal agents, and the destruction of and the stealing of federal guns. And this guy says document atrocities. And this guy, you're going to hear in a second, says, and he said today, we don't want to stop inflaming. Join me, President Trump. We don't want to inflame. This guy's a freaking liar. He's a monkey. He's an idiot.
Take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans, not just to establish a record for posterity, but to bank evidence for future prosecution.
Yeah. By the way, that's the. Let me go back to that.
Take out that phone and hit record.
Document atrocities. Atrocities? What do you mean? The only atrocities that are going on are you and Jacob Fry not protecting the people of Minneapolis and keeping the peace by backing up ICE by simply you don't have to agree with them anyway, but by having a perimeter of safety like Illinois even does. That's how messed up this is. They won't even do what Illinois will do. And I'll give you some more. Here's the Tim Walz a week ago. After tonight, he's saying, let's tone down things. I'm calling for peace. Said Jacob Frey. And then Walz said tonight he's pleading with Trump to turn the temperature down. Really? What did you just say this past week?
This yesterday, we've never been at war with our federal government. I think in this case that the National Guard is their main mission. They have a dual mission.
So we're at war with the administration, and tonight he says turn down the temperature, as he's also saying that Trump's doing atrocities, the federal government's doing atrocities. This guy's a freaking let's go to this. This is what happens when the leftists who run Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul schools, and they shut down so they can let the punks riot. And by the way, here we go. The St. Paul Teachers Union. It's Minneapolis, St. Paul. Remember that. It's just like Fort Worth. It's like Dallas, Fort Worth. Fort Worth is kind of like the same size, or it's a little bit. It's bigger than St. Paul, but St. Paul is like a Fort Worth, and Minneapolis is like a Dallas. They're very similar in many respects. So St. Paul's Teachers Union just told 3,500 plus of their members to choose what side they're on and join a shutdown protest. No work, no school, no shopping. That's what you would see CTU, Chicago Teachers Union, do. Let's look what happens when that happens. This is what they want. This is what the insurrectionists who run the teachers unions and the criminal students who are out doing mayhem. Look at this at the Capitol. Look at this. I didn't know they have those there because I don't see them anywhere. Keep those comments coming, by the way. I'm watching them in the live chat with Rumble. And sometimes when the videos are playing, I'll even make a comment to you. But I'd like to respond live with them. Just keep them coming. All right, so that's what happens when they let the students go free and take classes, cancel classes to go out and riot. Jacob Fry shifted his rhetoric overnight. Just a week after telling ICE to get the F out, full word, I played that for you. You know that. We all know it. Now he says, quote, I'm calling for peace. Fry, who still ripped ICE as disgusting and intolerable, is calling for peace after saying get the F out. He says, we've got residents, I already mentioned, I played the audio of him saying this, the residents who want to fight ICE agents in the street, and that's when you saw the Minneapolis police chief go, yeah, that's what your job is, to fight ICE agents. That's what Jacob Fry wants you to do. That's what the residents want you to do. That's why he mentioned it publicly. Why would any mayor who really wants to keep peace mention that publicly? I mean, it shocked the heck out of his police chief for obvious reasons. Fry also says we cannot be at a place right now in America where we have two government entities literally fighting one another. Anyways, we just play that. Oh, and this is the guy. I played you audio yesterday or the day before. I can't remember which one. But Mayor Fry was on The Bulwark. It's a podcast, a hardcore leftist podcast. And he said, well, can you arrest the ICE agents? Are you going to arrest them? He was asking sincerely. And Jacob Fry said, well, are we going to? We could. But he was like toggling. Maybe we'll arrest them, but maybe we shouldn't. He was openly talking like, yeah, we might arrest them. We might. And this guy is saying, we cannot be a place in America where we have two government entities fighting each other. You are fighting against ICE. ICE is not fighting against you. You are fighting against ICE. Fry also said, and for anybody that's taking the bait tonight, stop. It's not helpful. You're not helping undocumented immigrants in the city. You're not helping people to call this place home. Yeah, is that why you're saying that the people that ICE are disgusting, intolerable, and get the F out, and then you're saying stop? You're an idiot, and you contradict yourself because you're a fool. Fry also said, as you heard, the 600 Minneapolis officers working to keep our streets safe. Meanwhile, they've sent 3,000 federal agents. You damn right. Meanwhile, Governor Tim Walz called for Trump to turn the temperature down, as we mentioned. It's just so funny. What a incompetence. Fools. What else do I have for you here? Walz blasts Trump, urging him to turn the temperature down. We got into that a little bit. Walz said atrocities, talked about future prosecution. And the Insurrection Act, very important. It allows the president to deploy the military to suppress rebellions and enforce federal laws. One more thing. And I was mentioning Woke Mac Engel, the columnist for the Star-Telegram, who said that who hates ICE and said they're going to be going after people and at the FIFA World Cup, and which is a lie, in Dallas-Fort Worth, and that they're mouth breathers with high school educations. As I attacked him earlier for that. It's unbelievably wrong. But here's Sheriff Bill Wayburn. This is in Tarrant County, where the Star-Telegram, of course, is based out of, in Fort Worth. Sheriff Bill Wayburn. And this is what Woke Mac Engel and all the leftists need to listen to. He was asked today at a press conference on 287G, which he already does, thank goodness, which is the ICE program where they train deputies in the Fort Worth jail. And this is all over the country. They do this, obviously. I'm sure you know by now. But 287G, they train officers that are in the jail, sheriff's deputies, and they give them ICE software so that every person that comes into that jail, regardless of whether they're convicted or not, they're in the jail. We run their information as soon as they're booked, and if they're illegal, they get handed over to ICE as soon as they're released at the jail, inside of the jail, where there's no weapons and they're safe. Whereas instead of hunting them down in Minneapolis because they let them on the streets go free. When asked whether officials in Tarrant County had considered recent backlash to ICE efforts in Minneapolis, where protests started following the fatal shooting of Nicole Good, Sheriff Bill Wayburn in Tarrant County said, no, he attributed the incidents to the local police's refusal to cooperate. That's what this is. I said it earlier. It is a choice. Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Minnesota are choosing to not enforce the law. That's why they have this lawlessness. Sheriff Bill Wayburn says what you will see here versus that state is the local police will be cooperating with ICE, and some of those incidents could have been curbed if local police had been involved, cooperating and involved. I think it should be more concerning, he says, than anything about those situations. The Insurrection Act, let's address that with some specifics, okay? First, let's go to an idiot in Minneapolis who is he's a state representative, I believe. And listen to this. Even though the federal officer was ambushed and being beaten with fists, and two other illegals were beating him with broomstick and a shovel, this radical assemblyman in Minneapolis, St. Paul area tells fake news CNN that, you know what? Nah, I still don't think it was okay to shoot him, and I still think that the illegals I'm on their side. Listen to this.
There were neighbors and others who came out to help this person. That is just an example of Minnesota being a place where we help our neighbors, and we are clear that the ICE agents have been coming here, and there's over 2,000 of them. And they've been attacking and terrorizing our state. So, yes, neighbors will come out and be helpful. I'm not certain if they had brooms or shovel. That is to be further investigated.
If they did, in fact, have some sort of weapons to use to attack the ICE officer, would that change your opinion of whatever unfolded next?
Actually, no, right? Because from our vantage point, we wanted to make sure and always wanted to make sure that Minnesotans are being dealt with properly.
So, no violent attacks by three illegals on a federal officer. No, that wouldn't change my opinion. No. These are Minnesotans. Even if they're violent felons that attack officers and don't have any concerns or any worries about it, no, we're not. That's still not okay. They're our neighbors. Isn't that freaking crazy? That's the insanity, and that's exactly why the Insurrection Act is going to have to be invoked probably if this continues, because you literally have the people running the state that literally don't see a problem with beating the hell out of federal officers, running them over with the cars. It's insane. It is insane. Now, the Insurrection Act. Oh, wait, let's play this idiot, too. I got another idiot. This is great. This is Caroline Leavitt, and this is the same guy. I'm 99.9% sure that the guy you're about to see, who is a massive leftist, hardcore leftist, who despises Trump. If you remember the two National Guardsmen that were shot, unfortunately, we lost one, and the other one is still recovering, which is unbelievable. I think that poor guy is still recovering. The terrorist attack, yelling Allahu Akbar on the streets of Washington, D.C., driving from Washington State all the way to Washington, D.C., like 4,000 miles, wherever it was, 3,000 miles or 2,000 miles, to try to kill our federal guardsmen. I believe, and he was in the street, this journalist, I believe, I'm 99% sure it's the same journalist, because he's got a deep Scottish accent, and his face looks like the same guy. He was on the streets there, and he literally blamed the National Guard. He blamed President Trump for the National Guard being attacked by a terrorist. Said it was their fault. So here he is today at the White House press briefing, and then Caroline Leavitt calls him out and whoops his butt.
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. but you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Yeah, that guy's insanely leftist. But anyways, the Insurrection Act, a quick point on that, and then I'm going to go to how I am disappointed in Trump with Iran. I am. We'll get to that in a second. The Insurrection Act, 19th century law, permits the president to deploy the military for civilian law enforcement. If the corrupt politicians, and Trump tweeted this out or truthed this out on Truth Social, quote, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act. That's exactly right. Tim Walz made the direct appeal, let's turn the temperature down with Trump. Oh, we'll listen to this. So Walz says, let's turn the temperature down. I ridiculed that for obvious reasons earlier. But listen, they're now getting other Democrat governors to step up and say, yeah, and we want our Republican governors to also stand up with it and say, this is wrong. Listen to this. Andy Bashir, governor of Kentucky, and Governor Greedy Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan have joined together, and they're urging other Democrat governors and Republican governors to, quote, join us in defending states' rights by speaking out against these threats for chaotic and un-American federal takeover. There is no issue with states' rights. We all know the federal government and the federal officers there with ICE have the supremacy clause. We know they're doing what they're doing lawfully in their presence being there, and it can be 20,000 agents, one agent, 1,000 agents, doesn't matter. It's lawful. Number two, states' rights is not an issue in the red states and even blue cities where the federal government is allowed to do its job. As I mentioned, states' rights in Illinois, they're still deploying the state troopers to protect the area around the Broadview ICE facility to maintain the peace when you go in and out there. They're keeping the street open and keeping the jackals back. Memphis, a very heavily Democrat city, there was no insurrection, there was no chaos in the streets with Memphis, nor was there any in Louisiana, nor is there any in Texas. It goes on and on and on. By the way, and a professor at George Washington's University's Law School, not Jonathan Turley, but Laura Dickinson, says the Insurrection Act has been interpreted by both parties as an emergency option to be used when law and order has completely broken down. Well, they're pulling an FBI safe out of the car. They're stealing the rifles. They're doing pyrotechnics. I played for you yesterday, fireworks that blew up right at the heads and around the heads of ICE agents. There is no state and local assistance, so that is an insurrection. Now, I want to get to Iran. I'm going to try to be as authentic about this as possible because Trump, so far as of right now, has done what Obama did. Trump with Iran has done the same thing Obama did. Trump said, quote, help is on the way. Where's the help? Have you seen any help? It is estimated that 10,000, perhaps as many as 20,000, but 10,000, or actually 12,000, that 12,000 innocent Iranians who were in the streets protesting have been slaughtered. And Trump said help is on the way. More and more and more of them were on the streets, going more and more, in a good way, nuts. Where the hell's the help? He is doing what Hussein Obama did. When in 2009, Nida, that we saw that unbelievable, sweet Iranian woman die live in recorded time. We saw her die in real time, if you will, on video. Then went out. We all saw that. And Hussein Obama did nothing to help the Iranian people. As of right now, Trump is in trouble with me because he did nothing. I'm going to read two things for you. Number one, he is expected to deploy the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier to the Middle East, taking it out of the Caribbean right now, I believe, where it's at. And that's good, but that takes a week. Number two, let me read from my buddy Eric Erickson. Quote, 3 major Iranian banks last night. So this is good. 3 major Iranian banks last night, he writes, including one that processes payroll for the IRGC, Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, all went out of business. 3 banks, including the one that processes payroll for them, all went out of business, all running out of money. Probably not a coincidence. I agree. He also writes, we'll see what the president has in mind as he goes forward. But as I said at the beginning of this, when you send out social media messages, and this is what pisses me off, when you send out social media messages, President Trump, quote, help is on the way to the Iranian people to get, when you send messages to the Iranian people to get people into the streets and take over their institutions, quote, help is on the way, you kind of need to send them some help. Otherwise, they're going to get gunned down needlessly, and that's what Barack Obama did. That's exactly right. It's a real letdown for me that he didn't follow through here. Really is. Couple things that are also very, very noteworthy, comical, etc. Residents, this is great, and but there's some craziness in here. In Dallas, residents question public art for Dallas new police training academy. There's several $1 million to have art at the new academy. And there's just 2 comments I want to write from leftists who despise authority in police. Quote, 2 people brought up criticism in this hearing about it. I do not believe in institutions such as the Deep Dallas Police, whose sole purpose is to keep residents in check by using violence. It's not even, it's just too funny, this idiot. This is some artist who said this, quote, I believe institutions such as the Dallas Police Department, whose sole purpose is to keep residents in check by using violence. I can't stop laughing. Should be the recipient of an art installation. Yes, an art installation, you fool, F-O apostrophe. And then another resident said, if the art is completed, it should be, quote, a reminder of the trainees for Dallas Police, because it's the Dallas Police training facility. It should be a reminder to the trainees that they are here to serve the people and not to terrorize the people. That's what all police officers do is wake up and say, how can I kill a person of color? That's all they do. You got him. Oh, you got him. Oh. And then there's this. Major win from journalist Josh Gerstein. Quote, major win for Trump administration's drive to deport the pro-Hamas academics as the Third Circuit panel, U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, Third Circuit, rules 2-1 in Trump's favor. The federal district court had no jurisdiction in order to release the Columbia grad student Mahmoud Khalil, the Hamas supporter and affiliate and Hamas terrorist supporter. So what that means is, yes, the DOJ can now cuff, stuff, and deport Mahmoud Khalil. Now, they still got to go through some hearings, but while he's awaiting the hearing, he is now going to be cuffed and stuffed and put his butt into the clink where he belongs. Hunter Biden, this is sick. He started to get a little bit of, like, positive press when he'd come out and say these things, truthful about his dad and how he, let the country get invaded and those other things. But he's still a filthy, sick dirtbag. Look at this from the Daily Mail tonight. Hunter Biden's stripper baby mama asked for him to be arrested over claims he is still failing to pay her child support. This is sad and angering. She whittled it down. She allowed it to be whittled down for his child support to be $5,000 a month in support payments and an agreement that he would meet with their daughter. Their daughter. It's his daughter, too. He agreed he would meet with her, pay $5,000 a month for child support, then at age 4, and let her pick out some of his paintings. Well, here we are a year or 2 later, and their daughter is yearning for contact with her father. Can you imagine this? What a sick bastard, excuse me, but for this beautiful, sweet girl. She believes her father will go to heaven. She once stated she could not wait to get to heaven so she could be with her dad because her dad does not see or talk to her because her dad lives far away and is really busy. She can't wait to see daddy in heaven because he's a freaking dirtbag, sick bleep right now. Hunter initially denied paternity, that sick jerk, but it was proven in court by a mandated DNA test. The defendant and his daughter talked several times during a series of scheduled calls and were able to bond. But she wrote in 2024, though, Mom, suddenly, without any warning or explanation, Hunter Biden ghosted sweet little the girl, who was then only 5 years old. She claims that the daughter, Navy Joan, 6 now, had recently experienced emotional trauma at a family member's wedding when she realized her dad would not walk her down the aisle or dance with her at her own wedding reception. And that makes me want to put my fist through the wall. That heartbreak of that beautiful, sweet little girl. Innocent little girl. Nobel committee is angry that Maria Corina Machado, the woman who was elected as the president of Venezuela, but she had to flee because of the corrupt dictator Nicolas Maduro. Nicolas. I love how the media says Nicolas instead of Nicholas. Nicolas Maduro. She, as you know, visited with Trump today at the White House, and she gave him her Nobel Peace Prize. So now comes the Nobel Committee, who will never give President Trump the Nobel Peace Prize, to come out and say, you might be able to give the physical prize, but you are not giving the real prize. To which I say, Trump already won because you're freaking out and saying this publicly. If I was advising the Nobel Committee, who hates Trump, I would tell him, don't say anything, because you're going to look like an a-hole and an idiot, because it'll be obvious that he's getting under your skin. You're only bringing more attention to it. Don't do anything. Well, they can't help themselves because they have TDS. The Nobel Committee sent a pointed message reiterating that its prizes, quote, cannot be revoked, shared, or transferred to others. Well, let's see. It sure was. It just was. And then Governor Greg Abbott, last but not least, his war chest. Watch this. As the governor of the state of Texas for his next reelection campaign, he has $105.7 million in his war chest. He literally has 1/10 of $1 billion in his war chest for reelection. Yes! To which I tweeted out and said, good. This dwarfs all other Texans seeking state office this year. This is, I guess, if you take every single person that's seeking office this year and take every one of their Democrat, Republican, all of the totals that they've raised for their campaigns, it still won't meet what he made for his one campaign. Only Governor Dan Patrick has $38 million in the bank. $38 million isn't even half of what Governor Abbott has. Abbott's chief Democrat rival, this is great, Austin Rep. Gina Hinojosa announces a $1.3 million campaign haul. Let's see, $1.3 million versus $106 million, basically. Wow, good luck with that. Good luck with that. All right, listen, follow me on Rumble or YouTube, because your Rumble and YouTube comments that you do go through me to on this streaming platform where I can see your comments and I can enact real time. So go to Rumble. Go to Croc Talk, Kroktalk. I'll bring up the graphic. I didn't put one up for today. But go to Croc Talk on YouTube or Rumble. Rumble and YouTube. Croc Talk, Kroktalk. Croc Talk. And then hit follow on both Rumble and YouTube. And let's continue going. Croc Flock. You are the Croc Flock. Let's multiply Croc Flock. Let's do this.